We live in a world that never stops speaking. Phones vibrate, messages appear, voices surround us from morning until night. We think we are simply functioning in this noise, but slowly, quietly, it steals our inner peace. It drowns out the most important voice we have, the voice within. When we cannot hear ourselves, how can we hear God? Silence is not emptiness. Silence is a doorway. When the world grows quiet, the soul begins to speak. In stillness, we stop running from our thoughts, from our wounds, from our truth. We finally meet ourselves, honestly, without distraction, without masks. At first, silence can feel uncomfortable. Thoughts rush, the mind resists, old worries demand attention. But if you allow them to pass like clouds without holding or fighting them, something changes. The storm slowly settles. Peace enters. Clarity rises like dawn. In silence we heal, we see, we understand. And in that gentle space, wisdom arrives, not like thunder, but like a whisper. Silence is where God speaks softly, not through noise, not through chaos, but through stillness. His presence is felt in moments when the heart is open and the world is quiet. 10 minutes of silence a day can change a life more than hours of endless movement. Because silence reconnects you to what truly matters: faith, peace, awareness, truth. If you desire a calmer mind, a lighter heart, a deeper connection with God and with yourself, begin with silence. Turn off the noise. Sit. Breathe. Listen. You will be surprised how much you have been missing. If this message touched you, follow, subscribe, stay with me. Let us walk this path together, step by step, towards peace, clarity, and God.
We spend so much of life trying to fix what surrounds us, circumstances, people, the world itself. We chase outcomes, polish our image, control events, believing that peace will come only when everything around us is finally perfect. Yet the deepest truth is often the opposite. The most important work is not done outside, but within. The real fortress we must learn to build and guard lies inside the soul. The greatest battle is not with others, but with ourselves, with fears that paralyze movement, with the restlessness that keeps us from resting even when the world is quiet, with anxieties that whisper about what might go wrong. These battles happen in silence, hidden from the eyes of others, and yet they determine the quality of every step we take in life. Victory within creates strength without. Defeat within makes even the calmest day feel like a storm. Peace is not the absence of problems. Peace is the ability to remain whole in the midst of them. It is not a life without chaos, but a heart that does not collapse under its weight. The person who has looked inward, who has faced their own shadows, who has learned to breathe through uncertainty, that person moves through the world differently. They speak softly, but their presence carries weight. They face change, but remain steady. They walk through noise, but do not lose themselves in it. Inner work is slow, invisible, and often uncomfortable, yet it is the foundation of every true transformation. When the inner landscape is tended, the outer world no longer dictates our weather. We become rooted like a tree. Winds may shake the branches, but the core stands firm. The world changes when the heart changes first.
We often speak of forgiveness as if it were something we owe to others, a gift we give to those who hurt us, a step toward peace after conflict. But one of the hardest acts of forgiveness is the one directed inward. God forgives freely, abundantly, without hesitation. Yet a person can spend years punishing themselves for a moment, a mistake, a chapter long closed. We hold ourselves in the past, revisiting old failures like wounds that never heal. Guilt becomes a chain, heavy and cold, binding us to who we once were and keeping us from who we could become. Guilt, when allowed to linger, becomes poison. It numbs joy, distorts identity, whispers lies about unworthiness. It convinces us that we are our worst moments, that we cannot change, that redemption is for others but not for us. This is the tragedy of self-condemnation. It blinds us to grace already given. Where God sees growth, we see ruin. Where God offers renewal, we cling to shame. But forgiveness is strength, not weakness. It is an act of courage to look honestly at one's flaws and still choose compassion. It is not pretending nothing happened, nor excusing wrongdoing. It is recognizing that every soul is a work in progress, that mistakes are not the end of the story, but the beginning of wisdom. To forgive oneself is not to erase the past, but to release its hold. It is a conscious choice for freedom, a decision to rise instead of remain broken. Self-forgiveness opens doors that guilt kept shut. With it comes tenderness toward oneself, the ability to heal, to grow, to hope again. A forgiven heart becomes a living testimony to grace, proof that even the darkest chapters can give birth to light.
There are moments in life when prayers rise like smoke, yet no answer seems to come. We wait, we ask, we plead, and the heavens remain still. In such silence, the human heart trembles. Doubt grows like a shadow. Has God stepped away? Has He forgotten? But silence is not abandonment. It is often a deeper language, one that cannot be heard with the ears, but only felt with the soul. Sometimes God is silent so that a person may learn to listen with the heart. When there is no clear voice to guide us, we begin to search inward, to look for the trace of His presence in subtle ways, in a moment of peace during chaos, in strength that appears from nowhere, in compassion awakening toward ourselves and others. Silence becomes the space where the soul expands, where trust matures beyond signs and miracles. We learn to seek Him not only in answers, but also in waiting. Silence is an exam of faith. It tests whether trust is rooted in God Himself or only in His visible works. To stand firm when the sky is quiet, that is the courage of belief. To keep walking when the path is dim, that is the depth of surrender. It is in the stillness that the heart reveals what it really holds, fear or faith, impatience or patience, doubt or hope. And yet, even in silence, God is at work. Seeds grow beneath the soil long before they break through the surface. The night sky looks empty, but stars burn beyond our sight. So too, God moves in ways unseen, in the quiet transformation of character, in the slow healing of wounds, in the softening of the soul. What seems like nothing is often the beginning of renewal. The silence of God is not the end of His presence. It is the beginning of deeper communion, one built not on sound, but on trust, not on proof, but on faith. Humility is often misunderstood in the world we live in. People associate it with weakness, passivity, or surrender,
as if to bow the head is to lose one's voice. Yet true humility is the opposite. It is strength, rooted not in pride, but in trust. It is the courage to acknowledge that we do not control everything, that we cannot always comprehend the greater plan, and still choose to walk forward with faith. Humility is strength without arrogance, confidence without loudness. It is a quiet certainty that God knows the path even when our eyes do not. Gratitude grows from this same soil. It is not merely a polite word or a fleeting emotion, it is the language of heaven. A grateful heart sees blessings where others see lack, finds light where others notice only shadow. Gratitude opens the door to peace because it shifts focus from what is missing to what already exists. It softens the heart, widens perspective, and reminds us that we are held, guided, provided for. When a soul is grateful, even a simple moment becomes sacred. The maturity of the soul is not measured by achievements or possessions, but by humility and gratitude lived daily. To thank God not only when life is kind, but also when it is uncertain, that is spiritual strength. To wait for perfect conditions is to wait forever. Gratitude is an act of faith, a declaration that goodness is present even when unfinished, that blessings exist even before they bloom fully. We grow when we thank now, not later. If you feel these words speak to something deep within you, to your own journey toward peace, depth, and faith, consider following for more reflections like this. Let us walk this path of inner growth together. In a world where shadows often feel heavier than daylight, to remain light is an act of silent bravery. It is easy to mirror the chaos around us, anger answering anger, bitterness meeting bitterness, darkness multiplying itself. But light is not found in resistance of equal force. Light appears when one chooses another way. To be different, to walk with kindness when cruelty is common, to stand with love when hatred is loud. This is not weakness, but quiet power. Do not fear being unlike the world. Every flame stands alone against the night, and yet it shines. The one who chooses goodness over convenience, compassion over pride, forgiveness over revenge becomes something rare, a source of warmth in a cold place. Strength is not in volume, noise, or domination. True strength lives in a pure heart, in a gentle word spoken when silence would be easier, in patience when anger begs to be released. It lives in loyalty, in truth held without violence, in a soul that refuses to be hardened. The world does not need more noise, fury, or brilliance without warmth. It needs light, steady, honest, unafraid. A person who carries such light may never know the full measure of their influence. One act of kindness can steady a soul ready to fall. One moment of understanding can open a window in a room long closed. One silent refusal to return evil for evil may stop a chain of hurt that could have stretched for generations. Even a single flame can break the night, can draw the lost towards safety, can remind the weary that hope is not gone. In the vastness of darkness, one light is not small. One light is enough to guide. One light can awaken another. And slowly, flame by flame, the world becomes brighter.
Resentment is often described as a shield, something we hold to protect ourselves from further hurt. Yet, when examined closely, it is not protection, but burden. It is heavy, consuming, and sharp along its edges. The longer one holds it, the more it cuts into the hand that grips it. Anger and bitterness rarely wound the one who caused them, They wound the one who carries them. The heart grows tense, the thoughts repeat old scenes, and life becomes shaped by pain rather than hope. To forgive is not to say that the harm was small or acceptable. It is to lay down the shield so that one may breathe again. Forgiveness means releasing the pain and entrusting judgment to God. It is not denial of injustice or the erasure of memory. It is acknowledgement of the wound, followed by the decision to stop feeding it. To forgive is to say, I will not let this define me any longer. When a person forgives, they step out of the prison of their own resentment. Instead of carrying yesterday forward like a chain, they choose to walk freely into tomorrow. This choice is not simple nor quick. Forgiveness is a process, a gentle loosening, a quiet surrender, a repeated offering of pain into hands greater than ours. True forgiveness brings lightness. It lifts the weight from the chest, returns clarity to thought, and opens space where peace can grow. The soul becomes spacious again, like a sky after a long storm. With forgiveness comes inner freedom, not because the past is forgotten, but because its power over the present is broken. A forgiven heart no longer stiffens at the memory of hurt. It breathes, it trusts, it hopes. It discovers that release is not weakness, but strength, the strength to live unbound.
Faith is not forged in moments of clarity. It grows in the unfamiliar, the uncertain, the unseen. Anyone can walk confidently when the path is bright, when outcomes are known, when the heart feels safe. But true faith reveals itself in the shadows, when the next step is hidden, when the future is a closed door, when the soul must move without guarantees. Faith is not merely belief, it is action. It is stepping forward even when sight fails, trusting that the one who leads sees what we do not. Faith does not demand understanding, it chooses trust. God sees beyond the horizon we fear to cross. He knows the corners of the road, the valleys we must pass through, the peaks we will one day stand upon. When we cannot trace His hand, we learn to rest in His character. The path may twist, the night may stretch long, yet God is there, not silent but guiding, not distant but near, not unsure but sovereign. Every step taken in faith becomes a seed of courage, planted in darkness but destined for light. The power of faith is not loud. It does not shout or force its way. It lives quietly, deeply, like fire beneath the surface. It makes a person unbreakable, not because they avoid trials, but because they learn to walk through them. Faith strengthens the spine, steadies the heart, sharpens the spirit. Challenges become training, not defeat. Darkness becomes a place where conviction is tested and refined. A person who moves with faith cannot be conquered, not by fear, not by circumstance, not by uncertainty. If these words resonate with your journey, if you seek more reflections on faith, inner strength, and the unseen guidance of God, feel welcome to follow. Let us continue to grow and walk this path together, one faithful step at a time.